Sometimes forex trading is a wild and woolly place to be. That's why Hugh's here, to pose your questions to Walter, the naked forex guy. Hugh's got questions, and Walter's got the answers. Here at the Truth About FX podcast.
Hey Walter, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you first started trading, what would that be?
Okay, I would probably say spend more time doing back testing rather than searching for the right system. Or, I would either say spend more time back testing, or I would say don't be so concerned about cracking the code to the market or trying to be right 100% of the time. So what I did was I when I first started trading, I think I might have mentioned this, when I first, full time into trading, what I did was I just read a bunch of books, I moved to a different country, and I just concentrated on the markets, and I ordered a bunch of books through the interlibrary loan, and I got into all these Gann books and all these different wild, and ended up settling on price action. I learned a lot of different really cool approaches to the market, and in the beginning I was so into Gann that I thought that if I could crack the code, you would know exactly where it was going to go and this and that. And then later on I kind of settled on the more universal patterns that you see in different markets, like the Bulkowski books. I'll link those up in the show notes for this episode, but those Bulkowski books are really cool because they highlighted for me that there are repeatable patterns in the markets. And so that kind of set me off in the in the price action trading path. But I would say, the best piece of advice would be, instead of trying to find the right system and jumping into the markets, why don't you try and find a system that you're comfortable with, that makes sense to you, and then do a lot of back testing in it. And really bust your chops on using Forex Tester to get it right. And then at a certain point, you might move to a small live account. A lot of people think it's all or none. They think, well, I'm just going to trade all of my trading money, or I'm not going to trade. I'm going to trade on demo. And I think you should probably trade Forex Tester, then demo, then a small account, and then use your money in your real live trading account. So that's kind of the process that I would recommend. But yeah, what about you? What would you say would have helped you the most in the beginning?
I would probably say the exact same thing. It's a really good idea to think that you can just learn one system and it'll solve all your problems. But yeah, like you said, it's really there's a huge gray area there, and I think testing really does help you kind of see what you how you might perform and how you like the system. I guess that's the main thing that you're trying to point out, right? Is it compatible with you? Do you understand it? And just kind of doing the practice like any professional athlete. You want to get in the gym and shoot 1,000 hoops or whatever, or kick 1,000 balls. I think that back testing is probably the best thing for that.
Yeah, and like you say, when you're doing that practice, you'll identify what the weak spot is. So, for example, if you're got some sort of trend following system that does really well when the market just takes off and goes in one direction, it's probably not going to do so well if the market's choppy and kind of really tight and consolidating. And likewise, if you're a swing trader, you kind of like the market to be volatile and make these swings up and down, but if the market's trending, every time the market kind of just has a little bit of a pullback, you're going to think it's a swing point, and you're going to get in and you're going to get blasted, as a swing trader. So there's always these weak spots for every system, and so by running it through its paces, spending time in Forex Tester, like you say, or in the gym, in the trader's gym, what will happen is you'll recognize what that is. There's a really good book that I would recommend that you guys read. Now, I'll post this on the show notes. And what was interesting was, I think it's called The Holy Grail or something like that, but it's you can actually get it on Amazon, Kindle or whatever. So it's pretty cheap. It was interesting what these guys did. I think they met on a trading forum, and it was really interesting the way the guy wrote it. He explains all the personalities, all these traders who were involved, and how each one brought a certain piece to the puzzle, and they built this system out, and they were convinced that they had the system. They're going to make so much money. And the interesting thing is they actually did. Like in the beginning, it did do that, and it was working really well. And they tested it, they back tested and everything. But here's where they messed up. they forgot that when they did their back testing time period, they were working with the euro. The euro was in a really strong trend like that whole time for like 6 years. And so what happened was, or 4 or 5 years, whatever it was over the span of years. So what happened was they had the system that worked really good for a strong trending market, and unfortunately, when they went live with it, the market wasn't trending anymore, and so they had wild money management rules and everything. It was just crazy, but it was interesting to see it happen because they learned the lesson. They learned the lesson, even though they took like a small stake and built it up really quickly. It ended up collapsing, and they learned the lesson that, yeah, we did all of our homework, we looked at all the numbers, we figured everything out. It was almost like curve fitting, when you have that system that fits perfectly to the historical markets, but won't necessarily work on future markets. That's exactly what happened to them, and it's a great read. So I'll post that link under this podcast so you can see it in the show notes, and if you want to get it and read it. I've kind of already spoiler alert, I've already told you the story, but it's really interesting to see, how easy it is to make that mistake. And these guys weren't really necessarily rookie traders. Like they took the right approach, I believe. It's just they missed that one thing, which was, wow, we did all this testing in a historical market that was basically trending quite strong, and that was the one piece they missed. So yeah, it's a good lesson, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. Talk to you next time.
All right, see you, Hugh. Bye.
Bye.